It's time for the Lovable Me Show. Based on the award-winning book series, I Am a Lovable Me. Get ready to have some fun learning with Lovable, our resident enlightening bug. Are you ready? Close your eyes and let's count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Now open them. Here we go.
Well, hello and welcome to the Lovable Me Show. So happy to have you back here today with me. We're just about ready to start our show. I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Sharon Penchina, author of the I Am a Lovable Me books for children. And we begin our show typically with our weekly video vlog message. Today's video vlog is all about teaching children self-esteem. And our short video will play, but don't go away because I have a special guest with me here today. So watch our short video and we'll be right back.
Welcome to the Lovable Me weekly vlog, where you will find valuable tools and enlightenment to support your child's self-confidence and self-esteem. We worry about what a child will become tomorrow, yet we forget that he is someone today. Stacia Tauscher. Self-esteem is the way you feel about yourself and is one key measure of your child's overall mental health. Self-esteem develops throughout your child's life and serves different purposes at different stages. Babies develop persistence, believing they can accomplish things through repeated effort. Toddlers develop self-esteem as they reach milestones like dressing themselves or using the bathroom. As your child gets older, their relationships with peers and other adults plays a major role in developing their self-esteem. A child's self-esteem affects friendships, success in school, ability to deal with problems, and overall confidence. Children with good self-esteem are better able to deal with strong emotions and to cope with challenges and frustrations when they arise. Here are 4 ways to nurture your child's self-esteem. Teach your child daily affirmations to help them develop a healthy internal dialogue. Give praise when your child exhibits genuine effort or succeeds in activities. Encourage your child to think about decisions and their consequences, and give your child the independence to solve their own problems. Supporting and encouraging your child's self-esteem will help them make good choices throughout life to be the best that they can be. And don't forget to check out our Lovable Me books in Apple iBooks, Amazon Kindle Books, and Google Play Books.
Welcome back. My guest today is Lisa Engle. Lisa is a certified health coach. She's the owner of OptiMOM Coaching. This is a company that supports moms in developing happy, healthy visions of themselves, resulting in choices to live life more fully. She lives in Atlanta, Georgia, and co-owns a chiropractic practice and has taught for her state association for 17 years. As a mom of 5, she holds a vision for a well world, recognizing that to raise healthy and well children, we need to have healthy and well parents. Lisa, on that note, welcome to the Lovable Me Show.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me, Sharon.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you here. You know, it's always been my focus to help children become more self-empowered and encourage self-love. And I know that children develop many of their behaviors, their habits, and their beliefs by modeling their parents and caregivers. Mm-hmm. And that can have a huge impact on whether a child will learn to meet and respond to life's challenges or simply react to them, as you know. So for me, this makes the work that you do so important when it comes to teaching and coaching moms. So my first question is a little bit prefaced by the fact that many of us are familiar with business and career coaches as well as sports and performance coaching. However, your specialty is supporting and coaching moms.
Mm-hmm.
So can you share with us what is it that moms can hope to gain by engaging with a professional coach to help them navigate through motherhood?
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the big identifiers that I think my work needs to be one identifier for it to be understood well is that I don't claim to be the expert on somebody else's life. My work really helps the client to identify their picture of themselves uniquely, authentically expressing their best version of themselves. We start the work with really getting clear on what, if I were coaching you, I'd ask you, describe you healthy and well. And so many moms are not able to really stay connected to that and identify that. They're more focused on what's wrong and all the ways that they are not healthy and well. So by getting clarity on what that looks like for that person individually, because it's a different picture for each of us.
Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if they sometimes can, refer back to maybe a point in their lives, earlier in their lives when they can identify a time where, they felt that way, that they could draw upon, that experience.
You make a very, very good point. One of the disclaimers that I go over in the very first session before we ever start is that we typically don't look very much at the past. Coaching is primarily creating a picture for the future and the roadmap to get there. But what we do when we do go to the past, it's to bring forward what's useful. And so I will often ask if there is a time where they leveraged a particular skill set or they had an experience that would fuel the experience that they're looking for now. And if they can't identify that, then sometimes we can identify somebody that they've witnessed or they've watched leverage those skills. So if it's something that they didn't actually develop as a child, that maybe there was somebody that they were exposed to. So again, to point back to the value of your work, that there are so many different influences on children, and so it's not just the parents, but there are other people who can speak into. Your work is speaking into children, even if you're not physically having the opportunity to be in the home with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think those are two really good points to emphasize. So sometimes, we can recall a time where we, felt, we felt we were in an optimal place. We felt, that we were, meeting and responding to life rather than reacting to it. And we had successes and whatever it was we were doing was working. Or again, seeing someone else, perhaps someone who serves as a mentor or a leader or someone who inspired us, and we can really assume some of those qualities. So that is important. I'm wondering if the moms who do connect with you, do you find that they're often driven to sort of take that leap to reach out to you or a coach because of feelings of being overwhelmed in their lives? Or are they simply looking for additional support to take their role as a mom to the next level when they connect with you? And if you could give us a few examples of the types of reasons that might serve as a catalyst for them to take that leap in seeking out a coach.
Yeah. Moms come in various stages of desperation or overwhelm. Typically when, I won't say typically, because there's averages, but often, we feel good and confident about some things, our choices. And, there's a lot of moms that feel like they sort of got this, I'm in control. And then you hit some walls and realize how little control you have over various situations and cultures. And you can only retreat so far back before you realize that that's also going to there's a cost in that. When moms are hitting those walls, then it's helpful to sort of revisit or visit for the first time what that ideal picture looks like. I liken it kind of to a map, so in the land of Lisa, what does my world look like at its ideal, at its healthiest and most well, when I'm functioning at my best. And perspectives on that map will help me have peace and patience with myself and all of the people that I add to my map. For instance, I'm committed to being here at the clinic. I'm committed to supporting mothers, but I'm also committed to volunteering in my children's schools, to purchasing healthy food, preparing healthy food, investing time and attention to my relationship with my husband. All of these things are on my map, in addition to self-care and, exercise and movement and relationships with other family members and friends. But I can't be at the farmer's market and at the school and at the clinic and on a call with a client at the same time, right? So creating a space, like a perspective of how I can navigate in a comfortable way, because the overwhelm is a lot of what moms are coming to me with, is I don't know how to be all these places at once. And quite frankly, you can't, but being able to comfortably navigate that terrain. And a lot of times what drives a mom in is that they're off their map, that they are struggling to, I don't know why I can't just blank this. I keep wanting to, but, and then being able to ask the right questions so that the not just the motivation, but the level of readiness increases, the level of confidence and competence to live on that terrain more fully, becomes an experience that they are able to own and see as possible. And then really being able to see themselves there as opposed to seeing themselves off that map.
So, you're talking about seeing, which is a visual perception, in this case, a map. And it just reminds me of when I was practicing as a hypnotherapist, and even afterwards in teaching children and adults, to use affirmations and to use visualization techniques. And I always refer to it as, creating a blueprint in your mind, because that does have a strong impact on the brain and what we're driven towards when we create that blueprint. So it sounds very much, like what you're speaking of. And I can imagine that as a coach, perhaps part of what your job is, or, what you help guide them towards, is discovering, what that map or that blueprint looks like ideally. And when I say that, meaning that it's not overloaded or overextended, but it's also moving us from point A to point B, which is towards that more optimal place that you speak about in, OptiMOM, the OptiMOM program.
Yeah, when we create the big picture, that in itself can be very overwhelming, because it does encompass so many things. So then we shrink that into a 3-month picture by just prioritizing the area that needs the attention first. But that doesn't mean that the other areas won't be given attention and won't have choices congruent to that picture. I use the analogy all the time that when we set out to go clean up the kitchen and do the dishes, we don't just do the dishes. You know, I mean, like that might be the goal, that might be the intention, but I tend to, and every time I've given this, use that analogy, especially in groups, there's a recognition that you tidy something up or wipe something down or put something else away or you sweep the floors or, I mean, there's other things simply because you have a picture of what that room looks like when the dishes are done. Right?
Yeah.
So when we shrink the big picture down to a 3-month picture and sort of create a goal system around that or a level of intention or a vision, it depends on the language of that mom. And then we shrink that down, drop down even further. And if again, we go back to the map analogy, when you zoom in, you can see the street names, and you can actually see some of the businesses that are there, right, that have listings. I mean, like you get to see more detail. And so when we drop down again further into the 1-week picture, what's one thing that's going to move you along in that direction? Then it's less overwhelming, more of a bite-sized piece, and it's the client that leads that, in the same way that for instance, in chiropractic, when the doctors are asking the body the priorities in order to get to the underlying issues. The same's true in coaching, and if you have, moms know this, that when you've got kids that all are presenting with needs, you've got to stop the one who's screaming the loudest, right? I mean, like in order to be able to hear even and assess. So you prioritize on being able to sort of settle things so that you can drop down in and realize, whoa, so sorry.
That's okay. We're live. Things happen, right?
That's right. Really be able to drop down in and be effective.
Yeah, and I think that could be helpful in, having a coach and being able to make that discernment, what is most important, what sort of needs to happen first, second, and third. So why work with mothers, and can you tell us what types of changes that you notice in working with them?
Well, as far as moms, it's my primary language. I think motherhood is. My oldest is 34 and my youngest is 11, and then I have 3 grandchildren. So motherhood is my first language. My mother also had 5 children and was a midwife. So always had a heart for mothers. And then I've mentored and cared for mothers in a volunteer capacity for a little over 15 years. And then the coaching program, when I thought I was just doing a certification for credentials for the book I mentioned to you earlier, but I wasn't planning on starting a coaching company or necessarily, I hadn't planned to start OptiMOM Coaching. It was more of a command.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, it was more like a vision that was like, this is what you're doing. And okay.
You had that calling.
Yeah. So I feel very fortunate. And the results that I see are, just transformations of mothers experiencing peace and patience and grace for themselves and for their children and for their spouses, and a willingness to engage, not just a willingness, but an ability to be able to engage more fully with what is, so that they are not so fearful of what could be.
Interesting. That's once you move out of that fear state, everything kind of opens up for you. So that's a critical factor. I also think it's important to emphasize self-love and self-empowerment, and those are two of the core concepts that I highlight throughout all of my children's books. Is that something that you incorporate in the work that you do with moms, that you focus on?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. One of the beautiful things about the work being by phone is that what I hold, I don't see these women, by face. I don't know them and their lives other than what they tell me on the phone.
Mhm.
So the picture that I can hold up to them is that initial picture of who they describe themselves as healthy and well. And when we coach through challenges or obstacles, I'm still holding the picture of them healthy and well.
Mhm.
And so when I ask them, like I ask permission to interrupt them if I hear negative self-talk and things like that, so that we can begin to shift, instead of I know what she looks like unwell, I'm holding up the picture of who she is well. And so that, and if they say, oh, that was really stupid, then we can reframe it to where there was a lesson in it. What did we learn through this? What were the best parts of things? And then also we talk through strengths and
Mhm.
skills that they have. We don't address the weaknesses as much. We really focus on strengths so that again I can hold that picture up for them, and so that they can begin to really own and claim their gifts. And as they claim their gifts, they are increasing their confidence and their competence along the way with that.
That's terrific. I think holding a space like that is critical. It goes so far when someone can see the highest version of someone else in themselves, and it's reflected back to them. It really has a huge impact on people. So I think that's a wonderful thing that you're doing.
Thank you.
Lisa, can you share another, maybe tip or two, something that moms and caregivers might use and easily implement after the show, like some sort of takeaway of sorts?
Well, I think that one of the best things that we can do for ourselves is simply to begin to ask that question about who are we at our healthiest and best, and really let that picture evolve, not to make it a concrete thing, but let it be a living, ever-changing, pliable picture. And the more intimately we know it, the more likely we are to make choices congruent to that picture. And so in the same way that, if you're new to a city, you can't go from here to there so quickly without going, oh, do I turn here? Do I turn there? Or I wonder if there's, take the long cut instead of the shortcut for so many years. And then you go, I didn't even know I could get there from here, in half the time. So the more intimate and familiar we are with that picture, the more easily we are navigating that terrain. So really just taking moments for self-reflection, and letting that picture really evolve and deepen, in all aspects, whether it's nutritionally, how am I feeding myself, my family, what's my rest like, what's my movement like, what are my relationships like, what's my tone of voice, how do I play, what makes me laugh, just really letting that picture develop, I think is one of the most important things.
Yeah.
And again, when that picture is so big and seems so far away from what today is, shrinking that into what are reasonable pictures for short-term change.
It sounds like, really assisting someone and supporting them in them getting to really know their own truth and, you know, what brings them joy and happiness and fulfillment. And the fact that there's flexibility in that, and nothing is concrete. It's a work in progress. It's an evolution. So that's terrific. I wonder if lastly you might speak to the value of having role models and embracing the higher quality of grace in our lives as we grow into our lovable selves.
I love that. Yeah, I think that one of the most important things that having people around us that can model grace for themselves, what that does is allows us to receive that as well, gives us permission. My granddaughter just yesterday had, in a moment of frustration, yelled, I don't remember if it was to her brother or to her mom, but had yelled at her family. And then at dinner time, she's only 4 years old, just said that her heart felt yucky, you know, and that so she wanted, and she rubbed it as she apologized, and it was receiving forgiveness. And it was just so telling of, to me, of the kind of grace that her mother demonstrates, you know, just really being able to have people around us that are able to embrace their lovableness, you know, so that we can also experience that.
That's a great reminder. Thank you. Yeah, I really want to thank you for joining me today. It really was a true pleasure in having you here, and I'd like you to be able to share your contact information with our audience before I close out the show, and you know, if you want to go ahead and make mention of your new book that should be coming out shortly, that would be terrific as well.
Okay, well, I appreciate that very much. The coaching website is www.optimomcoaching.com. So it's OPTIMOM coaching.com. Our clinic in Atlanta is the AtlantaNaturalHealthClinic.com. Actually, AtlantaNaturalHealth.com. Oh, sorry. And then the book is actually for chiropractors. And that'll be out sometime in the next month or so. And because my work in the practice is, you know, decades at this point, 30 years, it's really about developing a chiropractic experience and how we can really authentically own that picture uniquely. And one of the things that OptiMOM Coaching does is it really helps to normalize the chiropractic language and the chiropractic lifestyle so that mothers are really able to embrace that wisdom inside. And that's one of the, you know, the principles in chiropractic is just that we do have this innate intelligence. And I love your work being able to speak to that wisdom that is in us, you know, that there's so much of the culture that would counter that.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And, you know, we'll look forward to that book coming out and connecting with you. And to my audience, please check out all the I Am a Lovable Me books today. You can get them in hardcover or as audio iBooks. They're great tools to help empower your children. Also, thank you. If you have a Facebook business page and you'd like to broadcast this show live on your page, text the word lovable, LOVABLE, to 480-360-3358, and we'll contact you. If you have valuable content to share with our audience, would like to be a guest on my show, simply message me on the I Am a Lovable Me Facebook page. Also, you'll never miss any of our great shows by liking us on Facebook or subscribing to us on YouTube or following us on Periscope. I'm your host, Sharon Penchina, and I'll be back next week with another very special guest to share some great tips to help self-empower your children. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a beautiful day today.
thank you for watching the Lovable Me Show. Also, if you have any questions for Lovable, go ahead and ask away. Don't forget to visit us next week, right here in the Facebook bug.